Disney is going to shut down Blue Sky Studios. Now, what the hell is Blue Sky Studios, you might ask? Because I don't really think they ever got to a moment where maybe in the early 2000s, they were kind of a household name. But they were the studio, I mentioned it when it was Joe and I in here, Dom. I said, Blue Sky Studios is the animation studio that brought you Ice Age and not a whole lot else.
Yep.
That's kind of their legacy, unfortunately. But Disney's made the decision to shutter Blue Sky Studios. Now, you're going to wonder, too, because I was a little confused in the moment. But now if I see Disney's name attached to anything, I assume they acquired it in the Fox deal, and that's exactly what happened with this. 20th Century Fox owned Blue Sky Studios. That was their animation division. Well, when Disney swallowed 20th Century Fox in a controversial acquisition, well, 20th Century Fox became 20th Century Animation, and Blue Sky Studios then belonged to Disney. And Disney, and this is kind of surprising at the same time it isn't, up until this week, Disney has owned four major animation divisions. They got the Walt Disney Animation Company. They got Pixar, obviously. They had Blue Sky Studios, and then they had Lucasfilm Animation. So you had four really big animation studios under the Disney umbrella. And an economic downturn attributed to the pandemic, that certainly doesn't help. And a cluttered market doesn't really help either. Blue Sky, on the human level, Blue Sky Studios has a staff of about 450. So hopefully many of them are brought on to one of the remaining three. And Lord only knows the talent on their end. On the end of animators and the storyboard artists and the litany of people we never see behind these movies. So the human element can't be overstated. There's hundreds of people and families that are dealing with this. So I wish them well. I hope they get put on different projects or reallocated in some capacity. But as for Blue Sky as a whole, they never really got another Ice Age. I was looking through their filmography. I don't know if you guys got a chance to. They never really got another Ice Age. That was their flagship and really only franchise, unless you want to count Rio, which I barely remember.
There's two movies there.
Yes, indeed. They milked Ice Age for 5 movies. I guess there's a TV show coming on Disney Plus too. Who the hell knows if that's going to still transpire? And most recently, the most recent Ice Age movie, Continental Drift, I think it was, that came out in 2016. But their last 2 films, Ferdinand and Spies in Disguise, if you even remember that one, they were financial disappointments. There's no real way to shake that. Spies in Disguise, they were banking on being like the animated Men in Black. I remember reading stories when that movie came out and bombed. They were banking that one to be their next franchise, their next like 2, 3, 4 movie franchise. And that ultimately didn't happen. That was a Will Smith, Tom Holland movie that I felt like was advertised for like a whole year before it actually came out because they kept delaying the damn thing. I saw that trailer back when going to the movies was legal. I saw that trailer, must have seen that trailer a dozen times. And it never, and it finally came out on Christmas 2019. And we barely noticed as a collective. But, and I'll add this before I throw it over to you guys. Blue Sky as a whole, they never quite nailed a real direction either. Like now when I think of like some animated movies, I notice myself in the last couple of years confusing them with Illumination. Like thinking Illumination, or they did some movies Illumination did. They're very similar stylistically, and the projects they tackle. But I thought they'd be in line to do a lot of Dr. Seuss animated adaptations, and I think some people probably think they did. They did Horton Hears a Who about a decade and a half ago, but then the Lorax and the Grinch
were done
that went to Illumination.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what they were going to do. When they did Horton Hears a Who, I thought, okay, they went from Ice Age. Now this is kind of the next maybe logical stepping stone, but that didn't happen either. And they never got to like balance multiple franchises really either, unless you want to count Rio. But Illumination struck gold early with Despicable Me, and then Secret Life of Pets followed. And Blue Sky just never got that. They just milked Ice Age for all it was worth, and they couldn't really find their next thing. But the last point I'll make is it was interesting to see Blue Sky's roots. They started out as animators for like movies like Joe's Apartment animating the singing cockroaches. They did animation work for Alien Resurrection, Star Trek Insurrection, I think it's called. Mouse Hunt, Fight Club. They did some animated sequences for. So they were around. They started in '87, but it's not really surprising when you consider the history, but the human element of this, I can't help but mention as well. Joe, your thoughts when you heard Blue Sky Studios is no more?
I was very sad to hear it because you brought up the main reason. Tons and tons of animators who, as somebody who's friends with animators, I know like how hard it is for them, one to get work, but also two just to maintain a job as well. And it sucks that a whole studio is just cutting off everybody. Hopefully, as Steve was saying, like maybe like Disney was like, okay, you guys go to Pixar, this group, you guys go to Disney Animated Studios, and then you guys go over here. Like, hopefully that happens, and it's not a bunch of people just out of a job. In terms of the studio itself, yeah, I've only seen a handful of movies by them. I saw Ice Age when I was a kid. I never saw any of the Ice Age sequels.
Good for you.
I saw Robots.
Same, never did.
I saw Robots, didn't like it. I saw Horror and Here's a Who, thought it was all right. But to me, their best movie is the Peanuts movie. To me, that's their best film out there. I absolutely love that movie, and I never understood why they never wanted to go make a sequel to, just another Charlie Brown movie of some sort.
It was their first. That was their first movie that got nominated for a Golden Globe, and unless Ice Age, Collision Course, and Ferdinand and Spies in Disguise got Golden Globe nominations, that's the only one that they ever got. But it sounds like it was well worth it.
I hate to say, I think Ferdinand got nominated for an Oscar, if I'm not wrong.
It did. It did get nominated. It was a slow year.
Yeah,
John Cena.
But yeah, it's weird because like both, actually, I'm looking at the box office like revenue and the budget for these films. Robots and the Peanuts movie were really successful at the box office. They doubled their budget, so it's weird that like they just decided never to do sequels to them. And like Rio also did that, but like why Rio out of all the films got a sequel? I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I've never even seen Rio as well. I never saw Epic, none of these films. Like I said, I just saw the ones that I listed. It's a studio that, like, honestly, just like Steve, I associated the movies that were being made with just other animated studios, and it sucks too because Steve does bring up a good point with Robots animation, but I love what they did with Charlie Brown in the animation style for that movie. It very much looked like the classic cartoons, but just updated. It was like a remastered Charlie Brown movie is what it looked like, the best way to put it. It looks amazing and beautiful.
Yeah.
Dominic, your thoughts?
First and foremost, my hearts go out to those who are unemployed here in these hectic times, in particular Ray Romano, John Leguizamo, Dennis Leary, Queen Latifah, Sean William Scott. What the hell was Ice Age, dude? Like, I remember. I know you guys haven't seen any, but so we all watched the first. I think like everyone in our generation watched that. And it's like
multiple
Shrek.
times.
Everyone watched Shrek, and that was the movie to put on when the teacher wasn't feeling it that day. We would just, or like the last day of class, right? We would watch either Ice Age or Shrek, which are good movies actually. I do like Ice Age, the first one, but after that, the Ice Age lore actually goes kind of deep. And none of it is worth reading or like watching or anything. So it was really sad because I remember actually, I think I've seen every Ice Age movie because my little cousins, who at the time were little, that's the movie we would like for whatever reason. Yeah, because they visited during the summer and these were all summer releases, right? So I think I have seen every single movie, but literally 2, 3, 4, and 5, I think, all of them blurred together as one, and I don't remember anything from them except I think, Queen Latifah shows up, and she hooks up with Ray Romano. But anyway, yeah, dude, just like Joe, my knee-jerk reaction is that, they're probably cannibalizing because other than the Peanuts movie and maybe Horton Hears a Who, which I've not seen either, sadly, there probably wasn't, except for like some talent here or there who'd probably be thankful to get whatever. They'll just scoot them off to the other studios. That's pretty much my take on it too. And that is right in line with well, just any acquisition, but also with the huge layoffs Disney had last year because of both in their parks division, in their theme parks division. So Disney's just clamping down left and right. And really, even if it wasn't for the pandemic, it really isn't that surprising that this happened, because sadly enough, Blue Sky Studios is kind of in that oh my God, what's the Steven Spielberg animation studio? DreamWorks. It's kind of in that DreamWorks state right now, where it's like, yeah, we made like some pretty solid stuff in the beginning, started off real strong, and then lately we just haven't been hitting, and it's like they're making movies. It doesn't feel quite like laundering money from Eastern Europe, but it almost feels like it's getting to that point. Which again, not an insult to the hardworking animators and voice actors and all that, but it's just like, when was the last time you felt like DreamWorks was a studio you respected? Or
well, I was gonna say, I'll add to that if you don't mind.
Correct me, please. Prove me wrong.
No, not I'm not even gonna prove you wrong. I'm just gonna come with this: is that, like, and again, you read enough Scott Mendelson Forbes, you start thinking about it in movies numerically in some sense. But it's honestly true, and Joe knows my infatuation with Mendelson. He was an unsung correspondent on the original radio show and even this show.
And this show, I was about to say.
No, and moreover, though, he brought up a good point, too. He's brought this point up before. Like, you look at some of the movies, like, you go back and look at, like Blue Sky's catalog, and you're like, how the hell did this make money? How did Robots or Rio make so much money? And it's not like Rio was 2 decades ago. Rio was 2013, I think, and then the sequel. But the fact of the matter was, like, up until the pandemic, so just think up until, like, February of 2020, like, people went to the movies a lot more 5 years ago, 6 years ago, even too. A lot more people went to the movies, even like, and I mean, it goes back to the Ice Age movies, how popular those have been. There was a lot more of going to the movies just to go to the movies just because something was out. But now, and there was only a handful of animation studios. Now you got so many offshoots. Everything kind of looks the same, which is why we're confusing Blue Sky with Illumination, and DreamWorks it gets lost in there too. Outside of Pixar and Disney, everything kind of looks the same visually, and then you get movies, you get like quote unquote throwaway animated movies every year, like Abominable or Rock Dog, or you know what I mean, or stuff that just looks, or what's that other crap one that I ventured out in -10 degree cold, Norm of the North, that one. God. That one. No, you get like, no, you know what I'm saying, though? There's a deluge of animated movies every year, and now even more so, because who knows what moviegoing is going to look like by the end of the year, beginning of next year. You get like half this stuff now you can just watch on one of the 400 streaming services they have now. So that's a whole other factor, I think, too.